the US is just full of extreme.
I come into the store, they're like, oh, this guy. It's like, I give you a paycheck. Like,
And then this dude over here, it's a little different for him. He speaks a little more German than I do.
everyone thinks I'm German. But like, I was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida this year, and somebody thought I was German.
Your perception of a place would be totally changed after you actually do your time and live in that place and see how it truly works.
We gotta clap to sync it up.
Your claps weren't even in sync.
Okay, only one person claps.
Hello people, so we are now in Stuttgart. I have two creators next to me. It's been 1.5 years since I've met Zack, and I haven't met this other Zack, so I will let them introduce themselves. Starting from you.
Hi, I'm Tony Hawk. I like skateboarding. No, my name is Zack, aka ZAC98. Born and raised in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And yeah, I live in Germany. Been here since May 2020. And yeah, that's a little bit about me. You might know me from some of my videos if you watch comedy videos on the German culture, European culture, or even American comedy. That's me, a little bit about me.
Thank you, and you should introduce yourself again.
My name's also Zack, aka Zack Bachelor. I've been living in Germany since 2018. I'm originally from near Detroit, Michigan. And I've been making videos since 2021. And yeah, some people don't even know that I'm American because I play a German.
And you also play Ashton Kutcher in all Ashton Kutcher films.
I've been told I look like Ashton Kutcher. I go by Hans in a lot of videos, so you might know me as Hans. And the man of many jobs. I've worked at a supermarket, a cafe.
Nobody knows your last name of Hans.
No.
It's just Hans.
He's a real estate. Hans does everything. Hans is a man of many talents, and that's me. So
actually, I'm pretty interested about. I don't actually have a lot of friends from the US, and I think we're gonna first.
You have two now.
I have two now, two more now, and I think there are some certain stereotypes of the US. For example, Americans are monolingual. Do you think that is true?
Agree and disagree at the same time. There's no official language in the U.S. There's no official language. It's English, Spanish. There's a ton of different languages spoken in the U.S. And I know quite a few Americans that are bilingual, but it's usually with Spanish.
What languages do you speak?
English and some German. I speak quite a bit of German. I'm like a B1, B2, but I don't know if that's bilingual really because I'm not fluent. I took 2 years of Spanish, don't remember anything. But I would say actually, you run into most Americans, they won't speak another language, but if you live in the US, you'll find a lot of Americans who speak different languages.
Interesting.
ja, ich bin der Meinung, dass Amerikaner doch manchmal andere Sprachen können, wie Deutsch zum Beispiel. I can speak German and English, and that's pretty much it. It's kind of true that there's not that much bilingualism in America, or at least it's very different. Because like Zach says, I think there's more bilingualism than people expect. Compared to Europe, it's just very different in terms of immigration, and there's a lot of people and a lot of very large communities where, you know, the main spoken language isn't English. And that's like what you don't really get when you think of, you know, the stereotypical Americans. You're sort of ignoring a huge group of the population. But I think I proved to myself that like I can be bilingual if I put myself in a situation where it makes sense to be bilingual.
Most Americans are not bilingual by learning another language in school. It's usually their parents or one of their parents speak a different language, and that's how they became bilingual.
At the end of the day, whether you're American or European or whatever, you don't learn a language because you take lessons at school. You learn a language because it's a part of your life and it makes sense to learn it, and you are in the right situation for it. In almost no cases can you force yourself to like learn a language just because you want to and you open a book and read really hard. Like that doesn't really work.
That's interesting. So it is true, but it's also not true. Okay, then the second stereotype is Americans eat a lot of junk food. That's like your daily thing.
I would say, okay, we want to talk about food. I would say the U.S. is just full of extremes. You have people that eat a lot of junk food. We have, I guess, a lot of options in the U.S. You go to a grocery store, the junk food aisle is like 4 times, 10 times the size of a German grocery store's junk food aisle. But when it comes down to it, I just think the U.S. has people who are strict with their diets. I have a friend who weighs his food, weighs and counts calories, because he's big into working out and fitness and all that. And you even see it with like a lot of also influencers in the U.S. They're pretty. Some are like junk food heavy, and then there's others that are just like focused on lifting, working out. But you definitely are open to a lot more opportunity of it.
What about your grocery shopping? Is it different in the US and in Germany, the things you buy or cook for yourself?
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting one. So I think it probably depends. I think in the US, like most people sort of live either suburban or like sprawled urban, where you're driving with your car a lot, and that, you know, the sort of the grocery buying is reflected on like that. So it's, you know, you take your car to the grocery store, and because you have a whole car, you know, you load up and you go shopping like, you know, once a week or once for every 2 weeks. You have a big fridge at home, and then you just like can fill your fridge and have food for a long time. In Germany, more people live in cities or towns. More people rely on walking or taking their bike and not necessarily driving their car. So you go to the grocery store more often, you get less each time. You know, that probably is also partially, like back to the junk food thing, partially the reason like American homes have more junk food is just you just buy more like processed food, because, you know, usually you're buying for like a week or 2 in advance. Whereas, you know, if you're buying for 3 days in advance, you can get fresh vegetables and fruit every time because they're not going to go bad. So that's part of it. And that's the same thing for me. Like when I moved here, like I can't shop like I did back home. I have to sort of adjust to how people shop here because I don't have a car. So I go to the grocery store and with my backpack, and I'm going there 3 times a week or whatever. Yeah, it's very different. You know, stores here are a lot smaller. There's a lot more of them. Everything like lends itself to just like shorter, smaller trips where you get less stuff each time and then you just go more often. Whereas in the US, it's like you just get all the stuff all at once and then you're good for a while. So it's very different.
Okay. Now for something a bit more personal, like where do people think, like in Germany, where do Germans think you're from?
No, I would say everybody thinks I'm American. Maybe randomly someone would be like, hey, you're British or something. I think
Really?
someone called me Englander before.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was like, yeah, that's me.
The way you dress?
No, I think they just heard the English and they didn't dictate the accent. But yeah, basically, most people, by how I talk, the way I talk, how people get that I'm American. And then this dude over here, it's a little different for him. He speaks a little more German than I do.
Everyone thinks I'm German.
And it's also because I'm talking a southern accent right now. No, but basically I would say people think you're German too is because when we're with Germans, he's also speaking to the Germans in German.
In a good accent.
In a good accent. And then there's me where like I'll speak English and then maybe throw a sentence or 2 sentences out in German, but then it's back to English for the next 20 sentences. Then another German sentence will just come randomly, or a German word. I like to do the Danglish sometimes.
But like I was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida this year, and somebody thought I was German. Like they had no reason to believe that I was anything but American, and they were just like, are you like German or something?
And you were with your American family.
I was with my American family. I can't escape it. I don't know what it is. It feels like no matter what clothes I wear, no matter how long or short my hair is, beard, no beard, everybody just thinks I'm German. Oh yeah, so when I first moved to Germany, I started a job here, and I guess, I don't know if it was, you know, relatively shortly before I had started, another guy started from Greece. And I'm kind of tall and he's kind of tall. We both have, you know, brown hair, I guess. So we like don't look similar really at all, but like at the first glance we kind of look similar. and we both just like were speaking German with an accent. Like it was just like, you know, this guy's kind of tall, not German, and we got confused with each other like so much. Like people would be coming up to me and asking me about some project or something for work, like asking me where like the quarterly reports are or whatever, and that, for something I wasn't involved with at all. I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about right now. And they're like, oh, I thought you were, you know, the other guy. I thought you were Panos. And I was just like, oh man.
They look nothing alike.
That can definitely happen. You know, people just sort of, they put you in their Schublade. They say like, oh, this guy is the kind of tall guy with an accent, and then they just like confuse you with the other kind of tall guy with an accent, which is like a really funny and kind of weird thing that I experienced moving here that I just like never really experienced at home, right? Like the sort of stereotyping and stuff. I got a lot of that right when I moved here.
But speaking of stereotypes though, people confuse you and they're your colleagues. You confused a random Asian girl sitting in the park for me. I was like, I was 5 meters away. Like they were coming from that side. I'm like, oh, I saw them. I'll pack up my stuff. And then as I was walking towards them, he was just like talking to this random Asian girl, just sitting quietly in a bench. And it's like, and I saw that. It was like, oh, you're not that person.
Her head was down. She was reading a book, and I just saw the dark hair. I thought,
excuses.
it's not like that. It's
yes, we Asians all look the same. Is that what you're saying?
not like that.
Yes, Pamos. Or Hans. Yes, Hans. Okay. Lastly, what are the biggest things that you still find it hard to adjust to in Germany after, I don't know, 4 years, 5 years here, 3-4 years here?
I would say it's not just like one thing, but I would say it's the conveniencies that I am used to in the US. For example, I feel like many times if I'm trying to split a check with somebody, when you say, oh, we're paying separate, they still just bring the one bill to you and you guys all just have to collect like as if you have the exact amount of change in your wallet and you have to just have a collection of all the perfect amount of change from everybody. But it's not like that. Like my meal will be 15, but all I have is a 50. Yours is, I don't know, 10, but you have only 20. And it's like, how are we exchanging all this? But in the US, I never had that problem. They just bring you each a different little booklet with each an amount, and you can pay all separate by card, whatever. Something like that is like a form of conveniency that is a small thing, but I'm just so used to, and it's not that big of a deal. Other things would be like if I wanna do some housework on Sunday, I can in the US. Here, not so much. But I've heard it's even worse when you like own a house and stuff. From talking to other colleagues that have a house, like and they're mad at their own. Like the dude was German and was like couldn't stand the German law, but he like wants to cut down trees, and you can only cut it down from like I think December to February or something. And then like when you're because of like it's great to save birds and all that, but like it's like freezing. I couldn't imagine cutting down especially a tree. Like you have a big tree. Yeah, and this isn't like saying anything with like the birds or anything. It's just like talking about the conveniency of like not having all these restrictions or not having all these things that are not making like, I don't know, everything's much more electronical in the US. Germany's getting better, just not quite there yet. Especially like with the Ausländers that I had. Waited 5 hours in line. But I know the like foreign office in the States know better. But I think you can schedule an appointment online. I'm pretty sure in the US you can schedule online. But here they don't allow it. Or at the one in Stuttgart they don't allow it, so I'm only speaking on my experiences. Remember that. Yours might be different.
Because I live in a small city, I have no problem with my Ausländerbehörde. Like their termins is almost always empty. I can just directly.
Which I hear it's only in major cities a problem.
Yeah, I think so.
Like I hear it's a big problem in Berlin.
Yeah, definitely.
Cologne, Stuttgart, Munich. Those are like major hubs that. And like the thing is like I would go to a small city if I could, but I don't know if it's like in the States, but because I live in the city center of, or I live in the city of Stuttgart, I have to go to the one in Stuttgart.
What do you think is better or worse in Germany compared to the US? For example, like, I don't know, bikes.
I know what's better.
Okay, yeah, I mean, one of the things that's worse, which is like, I complain about this a lot to Zach probably, but is like the customer service is still hard to get used to. Like,
That's
you
hard.
say in German, you say the Servus müsste Deutschland, like it's just, like sometimes you're just like, do you even want my money? Like these people are like, they're like bullying me. Like they're like acting like they have no time for me. I come into the store, they're like, oh, this guy. It's like, I am your paycheck. Like, do you even want me to shop here? Or should I just go to the next one? Like, sometimes you're just like, come on, people. Like I get it, they're just normal people and it's a job and sometimes you have bad days or whatever, but I'm like continually shocked how often people just like straight up, it's like, they're acting like they just don't want my money at all. Like they don't care if I buy anything. So that's something I don't like about Germany. Something I like about Germany is I just love public transit and just walkability, bikeability. That's one of the big reasons I even moved here at all. Like I just saw, the opportunity to move to a walkable place and I thought I want to live somewhere without a car for a while. That was like one of my main goals after college. I want to live somewhere where I can take the train, where I can read a book in the train on the way to work, where I can, ride a bike through the woods somewhere quiet and not be like stuck in traffic. And that's like exactly what you have here, and it's really nice. There's really good infrastructure for riding bikes, and there's, as everybody complains about Verspätung and everything, but like I'd rather have a late train than no train at all. So
I have
do
a
like
good
that.
thing to say. I like the work-life balance. So like after, I guess I can't really speak so much on the US, but I can speak on experiences just because my first actual job was in Germany. But I know how it works in the US pretty good. And Germany does do it well by, or I guess the EU we could say, because it's also EU restrictions too added to it, but like EU I think has a mandatory like 25 days for every EU country of vacation, and then obviously companies need to be competitive, so they usually add 30 days, and having 30 days of vacation is pretty nice. And then there's a 10-hour limit, which is German law, which is really nice. So you can't work over 10 hours, and you're working overtime, so after your contracted amount, whether it's 35 to 40, every hour or every minute you work over is counted as something called Gleitzeit, and you can take that as vacation or money in the late future. And that's just, I would say that's really nice, and I'm a huge let's say enthusiast that you should be able to, even 30 days in perspective is crazy. Like that's like not that much. Like you work 11 months out of the year for only 1 month of vacation. Like in reality, it'd be nice to have 2 months. But I'm not complaining with 30 days because the US, I think I would only be getting like, max 10 right now. And that's if I'm lucky. Yeah.
I think I have something to add to that. You can have even more vacations if you have a kid. Elternzeit, 3 months per kid. Also the dads get it.
Yeah.
So that's great.
And like the thing is like with, we call it maternity leave in the US. Like there's a lot of companies that don't offer it in the US, but there are some companies that do offer it. And a lot of things with like the US is it's company driven. So like here it's a foundation made by the government, while in the US the foundation is mainly brought to you by the company, let's say. So there's one person could get a job at one company and get 5 days vacation. Another person could get the same job, same classification, whatever, and they get 15 days vacation, which 15 is a little bit more rare. I would say starting out after college, 10 is what you'll probably get, and then you can probably, they say buy a week, so not get paid a week. The US government definitely needs to step up and put like a guideline of, hey, everyone deserves 15 days vacation. We'll start low. I mean, we gotta make somewhat of a movement. 15 days would be nice. But yeah, I definitely respect yeah, these boundaries that the government put down, yeah, for, you could say, mental health, your own well-being. And I think everybody needs that little break, and it's not just work, work, work.
To close off, what's something that you would tell the audience, that something you would like to set straight about Americans or America?
Americans?
Yeah.
We don't actually live in Hollywood movies. Like almost all the stuff you see in movies is like, it's there because it's a movie and not because that's how like we actually live. So that's just one big thing, you know. Like we take our shoes off when we go inside and stuff.
Do you?
Yeah.
Unglaublich.
I'm not walking with shoes on carpet.
I'm not doing that. Yeah, most houses in the U.S. are carpet too. They're like carpet, and only the kitchen is wood floor.
Do you put your shoes on in bed?
No.
Oh.
That's movies. Yeah, I take from America, you can't base a lot of perceptions, especially about how life works, off a vacation in the country, because you don't really know how, when I came to Europe for the first time, I was a tourist. I didn't live here. I didn't have to do any of all that stuff. Like, I think people's minds would be changed if they actually lived in a place, and it's not just saying the U.S., it's saying anywhere. Your perception of a place would be totally changed after you actually do your time and live in that place and see how it truly works. And then one thing about the U.S. is travel to Michigan, boys.
Oh, tell them.
I love
how big the
Michigan.
lakes are compared to Austria.
All right, Michigan is full of lakes. There's over 11,000 inland lakes, and then you got the 5 Great Lakes. And for example, Lake Superior is about the size of Austria, and that is just a freshwater lake. It's no salt, only fresh water.
Wow.
It's 400 meters deep, and if you were to empty it, it would cover all of North America and South of America with 1 inch, which is 4 centimeters. Mind blown. That's pure Michigan.
So if you were to cycle around Superior Lake Superior,
Yeah.
it's cycling around Austria. That's crazy.
You'd cycle around Austria, and then you'd have to go through Michigan, Wisconsin, and Canada.
Okay, let's wrap up this video. Thank you so much for sharing the experiences about US and Germany and stuff like that. Any last word? Any last words? That sounds so bad. We've got more. If you want to hear more about their stories, where can people find you?
You can find me at ZacXCVIII. Yeah, you can just look that up. Look it on Google, you'll find me. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Yeah, share this. This video is sponsored by the like button.
You can find me at Zack Bachelor, ZACK Bachelor. Yeah.
Thank you very much, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to take picture with you. That's all. I'm fan.
We can do a quick one. How you doing?
Fine.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Hey, no
Thank you.
worries. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
That was fun.
Redo.
I was photobombing. How's the burger going?
So good. You guys, we're here in Stuttgart.